Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very exciting, special, spoiler-filled chat for anyone who has already finished House of Sky and Breath about that ending and what comes next. Oh my God! Sarah, how excited are you to talk about the ending?
I have kept this secret for so long that even now, in like talking to you about it, I'm like, can I actually talk about it? Like I have tried my very best to keep this like close to my chest and like not tell anyone, though, like while also like planting like hints everywhere, like not just in like Crescent City 1 about like this crossover between like Crescent City and ACOTAR, but like in A Court of Silver Flames, like planting stuff in that will like, there's still more secrets that will be revealed in book 3 about like how these worlds overlap. But I have like chills right now, just like being able to talk about like, you know, Bryce being in the same room as like Reese and Asriel and like the whole like
It's
gang.
wild. So quick reminder again for people who have read book 2, and I'm sure you already know what we're talking about, but book 2 ends with Bryce, you know, trying to go down to the world of hell to try to get some armies to come back and help them back in Crescent City, and something goes wrong when she jumps through a gate. And she ends up in, you know, on the front lawn in Valeris with, and the last line is Reese introducing himself, and we know now shit is gonna go down.
Yeah, I don't even know when or where the inspiration for that like last scene with Bryce came from.
I love how she's like, I'm in hell and it smells good. There's flowers.
Yeah,
And a
well,
lot.
and it's like I love the idea of like, you know, this whole epic blowout scene between like, you know, her and the Asteri, like, you know, like fleeing, and you know, like you spend the whole book kind of thinking like, okay, she's gonna go to hell and like get help from the princes, and then like she thinks she's going to hell, and then she like lands in this like misty like world, and like, you know, the first thing she notices is like there's grass, and then like I just had this whole visual play out in my head of like kind of the mist and fog kind of like clearing and like revealing like with Valeris and like the city, and then like, you know, the blade at her throat, which is like truth teller, and then like, you know,
I got chills.
and I was like, I love the idea, just like the like LOL like humor of like Bryce landing on like Reese and Feyre's front lawn. But like, you know, she basically like all she wants is to go to where she's a place to find help, and like, you know, the magic works in such a way that she does go to a place where, you know, she will can
find help. Well, and it's so interesting too, because obviously the night court is kind of seen as like there's demons in the night, you know, and the night, and so it's so interesting that that's where she's gone. And you again, this is a massive spoiler, but at the end of the second book, we discover that the Asteri are basically like, as you call them, or Bryce calls them, intergalactic parasites, and they've been going to different, you know, opening gates and going to different worlds and universes and basically feeding off of Second Light and First Light, and what that means. And then they keep referencing a world that kicked them out, and I couldn't help but think, is that once I'd finished the book, going back, is that the world that, you know, where Feyre and Reese and, you know, the world of ACOTAR where they kicked them out, and then is that why she goes there?
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of like some of the stuff I planted in like Silver Flames with like, you know, the 8-pointed star. Like there's like all kinds of like overlap that's like, you know, like, and Bryce has an 8-pointed star like on her chest. That's like, you know, you'll find out more about what that means. But like, you know, there was like a whole race of beings in ACOTAR that like were talked about, I think in Silver Flames, you know, that existed before and were like the overlords of the High Fae, and like, you know, planting those details and like, you know, having, you know, the book 3 is like basically like just nonstop reveals and like connections.
Oh, I can't wait.
And it's like, it was so exciting for me to like just pound out the first draft of it. And that's why, like, you know, when we did our like non-spoilery chat, and one of the fan questions was, what are you working on next? The answer is Crescent City book 3, because it picks up right where book 2 leaves off, you know, with, you know, like how can I like not like have like, you know, like I can't leave you guys hanging. Like
the last line,
no, it's like, so
Quinlan, I'm Rysand. Yeah, we need to know.
So it's gonna be like, so book 3 will be split between like, you know, at least as of right now with this first draft. We'll see what my editor says when I get back from maternity leave in June. But you know, at least now with this first draft, the book's split between, the world of ACOTAR, like Bryce in the world of ACOTAR, and then, the characters in Midgard trying to like get their shit together and like
we need to know what's happening. I need to know about all, what's going on with the wolves and what's going on with Ethan and going on with this, wolf that we found with the mystics. So I'm glad you will not be leaving that hanging either.
Oh no, that like, yeah, I mean, there are like so many plot threads. Like book 3 is so long. It's probably be my longest book ever. I think that's saying something, just because there are like so many different
things
things going on, and then you'll see what happens with Rune and Day, and we didn't get to talk about Rune in like our like full length.
I know we just a little bit touched on him, but no, he's Rune, again, reminder, is Bryce's brother, and at the end of Sky and Breath, he is going down to the dungeons, and I am worried about him personally.
You should be worried. You should be very worried. I will be curious to see what my editor says about what goes on in the dungeons with him, because it might be like too much. It might be too much.
I like how you're like, I'm solidly writing adult now, so let's bring on. There's going to be a lot of violence, a lot of sex,
yes,
a lot of swearing.
We'll see what she thinks can fly, which is not like poor Rune and Hunt and Baxian. Like,
I love hearing like, oh, poor them, haha.
Yeah, poor them, haha. Bryce gets to hang out with Reese and the gang instead.
So satisfying. It's gonna be so. Well, I feel like we're gonna have to do another spoiler chat after we all read book 3, because I'm like, having so many questions. And I think it's interesting. You've definitely seeded a little bit that falling through worlds is possible. Like there's that bit, I think it's is it the end of, I can't remember if it's at the end of Wings and Ruin, or maybe even in the novella, but we see, they fall when Aelin, it's Aelin falling through at the end of
Kingdom of Ash,
and she sees what we think might be Reese and Farah,
so that was like that. I guess that was kind of like very early on, like planning for these crossovers. So that is who Aelin sees. Like she sees Reese and Farah. And then in Silver Flames, there was a mention, there's actually a full-length scene originally that wound up getting cut and just like referenced as like, Reese was like disturbed by some kind of star that he saw. And that gets like fully explained in Crescent City 3. But so like Reese, it's, at least for Reese, the concept of like, they're not alone in the universe, isn't like he's already been thinking about that kind of thing. So like he saw Aelin in that moment, and actually, Reese threw out his power to help her. So like, when this other girl from another world lands on his front lawn, he's kind of like, he's the only one that's been like kind of ready for it, but not really. And it's like, so like, I won't spoil book 3, but like, just, it's a lot of fun writing about someone who comes from a modern world with technology being in a world without it. And like just trying to think of like, what are the things, like if I fell into ACOTAR world, like what would I be concerned about? And like my number one concern, I realized, was toilet paper. Like toilet paper. And that question is answered in book 3, and I won't spoil it. But it just was, and then like how the ACOTAR characters react to this modern girl who shows up like in her sneakers with a like smartphone. Like,
what does that does that mean? And when she speaks the and language, you already kind of cover how language will work. One thing I'm hoping, again, no spoilers, but that you'll explore in book 3 is you've kind of hinted at like Hunt's lineage and where he comes from. And like, obviously in the ACOTAR world, we have the Fae, and they've got their kind of more like leathery wings, and we've got the angels. And I can't wait to see if there is like a link between, it just seems like
it all gets explained.
So like a lot of really exciting stuff. So I'm so excited. And I think your readers are, I'm sure, absolutely thrilled and can't wait to see what's going to happen. It's gonna be so exciting seeing Bryce with these other characters we already know so well. And I am glad, as much I love all your characters equally, so I'm glad we're going to be seeing what's happening with Bryce in that world, as well as keeping an eye on what's happening up back in Crescent City. But man, I'm sure it's going to be absolutely epic.
I hope so. Like I was like so pumped writing this whole book, so I feel like that like usually like translates onto the page like when I'm like feeling it, and this was just like so many fun like fun and like moving things, and then also just finally getting to write about stuff that I've been planting like secretly and like throughout the various series for years. Like just
really all, I was gonna say, when you started Crescent City, did you know that you wanted there to be this level of crossover?
let's say like when I started Crescent City like years and years and years ago, no, like when I got that initial inspiration on the plane, like I did not think that, like I imagine like all of my series kind of taking place in the same universe, but I don't think I had ever considered like making it like having Bryce do that until I want to say like I was like well into like the creative process with this book before that idea hit me. And then as soon as
so excited.
Oh my God, as soon as I like fell out of my chair, like I was like, what the fuck? And then I was like, can I do that? And then I was like, yeah, like, I mean, like the, like, you know, like, isn't it like fun? Like when like, you know, the first Avengers movie wasn't like, everyone's so amped to see like, you know, Iron Man and Captain America and like Thor like all come together. And like, this kind of like feels like that to me. Like I'm such a nerd, like thinking of my characters like that, but like, you know, just seeing
like the fantasy Avengers, I'm here for it. Definitely.
Yeah. Like just like seeing like, you know, all the good guys come together from like, you know, their various worlds and experiences and, you know, how they get along or don't get along.
I can't wait to see how Bryce and Nesta are going to get along. I'm like, so that's going to be, I just can't wait to, and she's going to be such a great character and foil to so many of, you know, the ACOTAR characters. Cause she's says exactly what's on her mind. And she's so sarcastic, and like, it's going to be really exciting seeing, you know, what happens. And I'm like, so interested to check in on like so many of my favorite characters. I can't wait to see what's happening, you know, with Reese and Farah's little boy. And like, wait, because this
Nyx definitely does. Nyx definitely features so far in book 3. Like we'll see.
Yeah. So chronologically, this happens, you know, when just so everyone is clear, when Bryce falls through, Silver Flames has already happened. Yeah.
So this takes place probably as of right now with the first draft. Again, like don't take my word for it. Like, but like they don't take my, like, you know, the timeline could shift a little bit. But like right now, I think it's like 6-ish months after Silver Flames. So Nyx is still like a little baby. But yeah, so, but I mean, that timeline could grow, like maybe it'll be 9 months or whatever, a year, but like it'll take place after the events of Silver Flames. So yes, so you'll get to see everyone being very protective of baby Nick. Yes, as you know, like since this stranger from another world just like
and the question is, of course, if she can do that, like who else can, you know, fall? What else have we opened up to, you know, gates to? Who else can come?
That is a big question that they grapple with.
Well, and you've always, you know, I think been interested in kind of like the concept of like gates and portals and windows and doors. You know, even if we're looking way back to the beginning of your career, if we're looking, you know, at the very first Throne of Glass book, like that is I always mispronounce this. Word gates.
Yeah.
I always, you know, but that is something that you've written about throughout, and it's so exciting seeing it really culminate in this extremely exciting big moment for just for lack of a better word, not even the world of Sarah J. Maas, the universe, the multiverse, all coming together. Well, I guess the next question that everyone's probably going to be dying to find out, since you just do your first draft and you are, you know, fine, you're allowed to take time off to have your baby, fine. Roughly when do you think we're gonna get to read this third Crescent City book?
I mean, we're hoping to get it out as quickly as possible. It obviously won't be like a year from
of course.
book 2 coming out, but we're still figuring out the timeline. Like if it'll just be like, you know, 18 months after this book came out, or maybe a little longer. You know, a lot of it will depend on my schedule, my editor's schedule, but then also like ongoing COVID, you know, God forbid, I hope it's all over by then, but like, you know, COVID related printer delays, and, you know, like, you know, that's had a huge impact on the publishing industry with like books coming out on time. And I was fortunate enough to have a publisher that also publishes in the UK. So, you know, all of like, we shifted publishing, like printing the books in the US because there was such a massive delay to getting all these printed in the UK for you guys. So like, that's why, like, you know, there was, I think we only had like a week or 2 delay was Silver Flames and maybe this one, just because, and like that was incredibly lucky. And I feel very fortunate.
So publisher logistics aside, we're looking at
yes,
maybe like 18 months, 2 years.
Yes.
It'll be worth the wait. It'll be worth the wait.
My goal is to like, get back from maternity leave and like hit the ground running and like, dive into this book and get it out there as like,
I'm so torn. As your friend, I'm like, take all the time you need. And as a reader, I'm like, really fast.
No, I want to get it out there as quickly as possible, but also like, because this is such a big book with so many payoffs and like so much overlap, like just
getting it right.
Sure that like do it right, like get everything in there that needs to get in there, set up for future books, future ACOTAR Crescent City books. Like there's just a lot like that goes into this book that like, I again want to get it out there to you guys. I know you're probably as eager to read it as like I am to share it with you, I hope. But like I want to like make sure it's done
and I
to the best of my ability.
Something you do so well is shifting perspective and shifting POV. And so I really can't wait to see like, see Reese from Bryce's perspective, but then see Bryce from, maybe Farrah's perspective, Nesta's perspective. I'm sure there'll be some new people as well for us to meet. So it's going to be,
it's a lot of fun, like bringing in like not only an outsider to the ACOTAR role, but like literally like someone from another, like almost like a different like historical era in a way, and like having her be like, there's only candlelight or like, like the Fey lights here. And like, like, and what are the things that are, but like also like on like a very cheesy level, like what are the things that like, that we all have in common, even across like,
time and space. Well, that's like Hunt tells her, he's like, I'd love for you last through time and space. Like, so amazing and so well done. Well, it's extremely exciting. One of like the most like, oh my God moments I've ever had finishing a book. So well done. And do take your time on the third one because it's going to be epic and well worth the wait, I'm sure.
Oh, fingers crossed. I hope so.
Oh, very exciting. Well, yeah. And hopefully your readers, again, we're in for a treat at the end. And the next one I think is going to be, everyone is going to be absolutely, I can't wait to do an event for that book. That'll be fun.
I know. I feel like we'll have to do like the spoiler-free event and then like just like a second event that's like all spoilers.
All of the spoilers all the time. Thanks so much, Sarah, and thanks everyone too.
Thanks, guys.